Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today is Tennessee Congressman, 5th District Congressman here in Nashville, Democrat Jim Cooper. Congressman, we were talking earlier in the show about the Mueller investigation. There's been some talk that perhaps the Mueller probe ought to go dark or not be doing a lot of things publicly when the election gets closer and closer. I don't know whether some people say that's before, gets everything done before Labor Day or later on. Is that a good idea? There's no law or requirement that says that, but a lot of people think that after what happened in 2016 with the FBI and probes of Hillary Clinton, that maybe standing back a little bit wouldn't be a bad idea, at least during that period.
Well, Pat, I have no crystal ball, but I think that Bob Mueller should finish the job. That's what we've hired him to do, let him finish the job. But my guess is he will go dark for October and maybe September and not have any public announcements because he doesn't want to repeat the Comey mistake of messing with the election. I think he is a very reputable Republican prosecutor.
But that means going dark all the way to November, because if he's not going to do anything in August, in the rest of this month, or in September, then
but that's only about 80 plus days, so that's not that long. So I think that you're going to see him deliberately steer clear of any election mess, but try to get at the truth, because that's his job, is try to find the truth. You
don't believe the president, he will get together to have that interview they've been talking about for so long?
I've never thought the president would be willing to be interviewed. He's got too much to hide, and he's not very good at remembering the truth.
So at this point, do you expect Mueller then to go seek subpoenas, and this goes all the way to the Supreme Court a la Watergate and the tapes?
Nobody knows. We'll see what he comes up with. If he finds serious evidence of wrongdoing, he should pursue that. If he finds nothing, he should give the president a clean slate.
You mentioned that you would not want to really start seriously thinking about impeachment. That has to start in the House until there's a Mueller report come in. Will Bob Mueller just send Congress a report, not do any indictments directly on the president, and say it's up to the Congress to decide what to do?
Well, as a special prosecutor, he has wide discretion. Ultimately, Congress should be responsible for making sure the government continues to function. When we have a president who actually seeks government shutdown, that's a real problem. When we have a president that messes up our economy, like with tariffs, that's a real problem. We need more stability in our government. When he disses NATO, our most important international alliance.
But where are the high crimes and misdemeanors that the Constitution talks about?
I'm not talking impeachment. I'm not Steve Cohen. Let's see what what Bob Mueller comes up with.
Go back to Leader Pelosi. A lot of Democratic candidates across the country are kind of saying, well, I wouldn't vote for her necessarily if I get elected. You said that and so managed to survive so far. Do they call you and ask you for advice about how to handle this kind of thing?
Well, many of the new candidates and the folks who've already been elected to Congress in this new wave have pledged that they're not going to vote for Leader Pelosi. No other candidate has really emerged yet, but we will see. I think there's going to be a lot of activity behind the scenes.
Well, who is your candidate? You voted before. You don't have to be a member of the House to be Speaker. You voted for Colin Powell and other people. Are you thinking about voting for another outsider this time?
I haven't decided yet. It can be an outsider under the Constitution, and that might be a refreshing change because the House of Representatives used to work pretty well. For example, under Tip O'Neill, the House was able to work its will, but increasingly, especially under Republican leadership, it's been the party's way or the highway, and that's not right. We need to give a menu of choices to the elected members of Congress, let them decide how to fix immigration, how to have a better tax system, how to do lots of things.
Now, you've gotten votes to be Speaker in the past. Now, it was in years when the Democrats didn't have a chance to do that, but might you be a candidate to be Speaker if the Democrats take over the House?
I'm not a candidate for Speaker. I don't play the inside politics. I don't try to raise tens of millions of dollars for my colleagues to feather my nest. My job is to get America back on track, to stop playing politics, and to start doing the right thing for the country. That's why I was elected.
Now, you've become co-sponsor of a bill that's H.R. 3057. It's called the Fair Representation Act. It seems to do a number of things. First, it changes redistricting and requires it to be done by outside independent bodies. It also seems to allow the installation of multi-member districts. In other words, you go and vote for not just one congressman, but several congressmen. How does that work in terms of one man, one vote, and the Baker versus Carr case that came from Tennessee?
Well, Pat, you know politics better than anybody. As you know, gerrymandering is a real problem, and it's especially hard to get Congress to fix the problem because the party that's in power tends to like gerrymandering. The party that isn't in power doesn't like gerrymandering. So how do you fix it? There are also some curiosities in our system. My good friend, in fact roommate, he married my wife's cousin, is the congressman from Vermont, the whole state of Vermont, one congressman. And Vermont is smaller than the city of Nashville. So why do they get not only a congressman, but 2 United States senators? They have Bernie Sanders and Pat Leahy. That's just a constitutional curiosity. But there's 7 states like that. So there are lots of things that need working on. And one idea for fixing gerrymandering in the very small states is to have different ways of stopping gerrymandering. That's the goal.
Does your bill also offer the opportunity, if Congress passes it, to do something different about runoff elections? Like here in Metro, you'd have a way to go and have an instant runoff, and people could list their top 2 or 3 choices, and maybe we don't have to have these extra elections?
Exactly, Pat. Instant runoff. Each election costs about $1 million, and why do that? Hardly anybody shows up for the runoff sometimes. You could go ahead, if you were allowed to state your preference for your candidates, you could go ahead and have an instant runoff so you didn't have all these extra elections. But
this idea of being able to go out and think about it again, isn't that attractive to some, probably attractive to some candidates? I know some candidates, particularly in runoff races, who did finish, who would not have won at all, but did a lot better when the runoff came along.
Well, I love democracy. I want it to work better, but gerrymandering doesn't help. Needless and hugely expensive runoff elections rarely help, especially if there's only one thing on the ballot. We've got to have a more efficient system in all respects. And generally speaking, Tennessee has done it right, but there's some other states who really run it in the ground.
A lot of concern about change in Congress, a lot of concern about a lot of congressmen leaving because of the problems with sexual harassment. Is that going to be different or better in the next term?
I hope so. You would think the elected representatives would behave better, but just last week, I'm co-head of the Boy Scout caucus in Congress, and the other co-head of the caucus was indicted for insider trading. And they have video of him doing it on the White House lawn. This is outrageous, and he was proud of being an Eagle Scout. That's not how Eagle Scouts behave.
Congressman Cooper, thank you for joining us. I'm sure we'll have you back probably after the election.
Pat. Appreciate it.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the News Channel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. A new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.